Hey guys, good news. Finally, all solar panels are up on the roof. Super excited. We are so close. Really, all that's left is to run the wire from that junction box into the garage, or through the garage into the inverter over there. I have the safety cutoffs all in place already. So it really should just be those wires and bending and installing the conduit. Car going by. So excited that we're finally here. And with any luck, we should be able to turn the system on today and start making some power. More to come. I should have known. Every time I get excited that something's almost done, something bad happens, and it's just, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen like I expect or hope. So around 11:30, we were done with all the wiring from the solar panels to the inverter, all the wiring around the inverter, everything was done. So we thought we should just flip a switch and it would work. Of course not. So the system that we're using for the safety cutoff is from Midnight Solar, and this is the transmitter. So I guess first it involves this transmitter at the inverter, and then there are 3 receivers, so one for each string of solar panels that I have on the roof. And this, I guess wirelessly and through this little coil here, will send a signal to the 3 receivers on each string, the one on each string, to close, make the connection, and send the power down. And it also involves a safety cutoff switch, a slap switch that's on the side. We were screwing around with it for a while, could not get it to work. It would not close those receivers. So I've been on the phone with tech support for Midnight Solar, and they've all been really nice. They were trying to be helpful, and they gave me a lot of time. I mean, we were done with all the wiring by about noon. We were ready, and now it's 5 o'clock. So for 5 hours now, we've been trying to get this thing to work, and it's not working. So we think so far what it looks like is maybe one of the receivers is defective right out of the box, because through some tinkering, we were able to get 2 strings to report voltage, but no matter what we did, the 3rd string would not show voltage. Also, but even in order to get to that point, I had to remove this transmitter from the inverter, from the side over there. We had to move it all the way up to the combiner box that's over here on the roof, and it requires 12 volts, which I don't have 12 volts on my roof. So I had to run a cable from the battery in my car. I pulled it as close as I could to get 12 volts up to this unit up there, and it still didn't work if the line was connected to the inverter, which leads to the second guess of what we think is going on. So we think one of the receivers was defective out of the box, and then this little ring, this goes around the positive line that goes to the inverter. And anytime the inverter wire was connected, so from the combiner box to the inverter, anytime that was connecting the solar panels to the inverter, it would lose power. It would just cut off. But if we had this on the solar side of the fuses that I have up there, 2 of the 3 would turn on. So we've just been screwing around, and it was a beautiful day. Thankfully, I mean, at least it was a good day, but I could have made all this free power. I mean, I could have charged my T-Rex that's out there, but all day instead, pretty much, I've had the T-Rex powering the house, and I'm really not making use of all this power. So what we're doing right now, obviously this guy is already out. I have my buddy who I hired to help me with all this stuff is on the roof right now pulling out those receivers, and we're just going to connect the solar array without this system. I'd say stupid system, but in case Midnight Solar watches, it does seem like it might be a good system, but combined with some kind of interference with the positive line going to my inverter and maybe a bad part, I can't really recommend them. So we're going to look for a different safety cutoff switch, but for now, we're going to at least test the system and connect it without a safety cutoff and just see if it works. I mean, there are fuses and everything and safety stuff in place. We just don't have the slap button, the mushroom button, whatever they call it, to turn it off. So that's where we're at right now. My buddy's on the roof doing that, and should be about done by now. So I'm gonna go check on him. So it's been almost a week since that last clip that I made. Unfortunately, the problems haven't solved themselves, and I still have others that have come up. So right now I'm dealing with inverter issues. The solar is up and running. There's no safety cutoff switch in there yet, but now I'm dealing with inverter issues. So I have a Princeton Power DRI10. They don't make the unit anymore. Thankfully, the company's still at least in business. I've been trying to get a hold of them, trying to talk to them to get input. They were responding at first, but I haven't heard from them in about 2 weeks now. And I'm really hoping to get some answers with this inverter, how to set it up, how to set this thing. So the problem with the inverter now is that, well, first, we hoped that it was going to operate everything. It's supposedly a really smart inverter. It's huge. It has tons of circuitry inside of it. And we were hoping that it was going to be on-grid, off-grid, and it would automatically revert back to the grid if solar power was not available and battery power was not available. We thought it would be able to switch back, kind of like an automatic generator switch, where it would automatically switch to a generator if you lost power at the house. We understood that that's how it was going to operate, and it would just have like a bias towards the renewable energy and use that in the house first. From what I've heard, that's called a self-consuming solar system. That's what they say. Unfortunately, the inverter works great as a pass-through from the grid to the house, or a battery inverter where it takes just the battery power and powers the house, or solar power inverter where it just takes the solar energy from the solar panels and uses it in the house. Unfortunately, two things. One, a battery always has to be connected to it, which isn't ideal for my system because I wanted to have this T-Rex that I can take on road trips when I need to, or if I was home, it could be the home energy storage there. So I didn't plan on having it always connected to the inverter. I wanted the option to take it off. So it wouldn't even act as a grid pass-through or a solar inverter unless the battery was connected. And it's weird because the battery doesn't have to be delivering any power to the house or the grid. All the inverter has to see is that there's voltage at the DC bus. Without that voltage at the DC bus, the system won't even turn on. It actually uses the battery to power the OS, the operating system for the inverter. It recognizes grid power, it recognizes the solar power, but it won't use either of those two sources as the power source for the operating system. It seems really stupid. So it just has to see that voltage and not even use it. The other thing is, it can't do two or more of those three things at the same time. So I cannot have it connected to the grid and the battery, or connected to solar and the battery. Anytime all switches are closed, for some reason, it starts taking battery power at 12 kilowatts, which it's a 10 kilowatt inverter, but it's dumping 12 kilowatts into the grid. I don't know why. I mean, I need it at the house, but instead it's dumping it to the grid. We don't get it. I've gone through the settings multiple times. I can't figure out what the hell is going on. And the other really, really strange thing, when I connect the solar and the battery at the same time, so when both of those switches are closed, the display says that it's dumping 12 kilowatts into the solar panels. So very, very strange. And then the inverter starts making some crazy humming and screeching noises. Very odd. I don't know why this is happening. I've tried changing multiple settings. Nothing. So it's been about a month since I started. Solar panels have been up for almost a week, and I'm still not able to use solar or renewable energy. I just sent another email out to Princeton Power late last night. Today's Monday, about midday. I really hope they get back to me, and I'm sure it's just somehow a setting. I hope it's not firmware or anything that really needs to be updated or changed, because they made it clear that they were going to charge me if they had to give me any kind of tech support like that or write any new firmware. So I don't know. At this point, I'm just kind of waiting for Princeton Power to get back to me and help me out. And the weather hasn't helped. So I haven't been able to go out there and do any tinkering the last maybe 5 days. It's just been raining non-stop, super hard. Let's see if I can, I mean, you guys know what rain looks like, but it's just pouring. It's been pouring for days, and all the rest of the week is 100% chance of rain. So we're just getting dumped on. So that's really disappointing because I want to be out there doing stuff and making progress. But that's where I'm at with this whole system. It's just been kind of driving me crazy. It's just one thing after another. Different products aren't quite working perfectly for me in this application. And this inverter is supposed to be awesome, but so far I haven't seen it really even work very well. Yeah, but thanks for watching and putting up with these anticlimactic videos. I really wish I had better news. At least I do have some news coming out with the camper. I'll be posting a video about that here shortly. So at least that's some progress I've been making with all this rain. At least I can be in here working inside the garage. But I guess that's it. Thanks for watching, guys, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to keep watching me fail at everything. See you guys.